All right, let's jump right in. We're living in this age of absolutely incredible technology, right? But the big question is, how do we make sure it actually shares our most important values? In this explainer, we're going to break down a guide for turning that huge global vision into real, tangible action, right where you live. So, let's get started.
So, the work we're exploring today is really guided by some ancient wisdom that honestly feels more relevant than ever. Take the Anishinaabe Seven Fires prophecy, for instance. It talks about this critical choice humanity has to make. It paints this picture of a better world, but here's the catch. It's not guaranteed. It totally depends on the path that we choose to take.
And that right there brings us to the core question of our time. You know, with artificial intelligence developing at this mind-boggling speed, we are standing at that exact same fork in the road. So how do we, you and me, ensure our most powerful tools are guided by our deepest values? How do we literally embed wisdom into the code that's going to shape our future?
To get our heads around those big questions, we've broken this journey down into 5 parts. First, we'll dig into why this alignment is so absolutely critical. Then we'll introduce the solution, something called the Dawn Network. After that, we get really practical with the tools, we'll talk about the people you need to build an alliance, and finally, we'll map out the very first step you can take.
Okay, so let's kick things off with the alignment imperative. Why is this work so urgent right here and right now?
Well, we're facing a few different challenges that are all kind of feeding into each other. You've got AI developing way faster than our ethical frameworks can keep up. At the same time, a lot of the old top-down ways of governing just feel disconnected from what's happening on the ground, and that weakens our communities. This creates this profound, urgent need to ground our tech in timeless human values before it really gets away from us.
So if the challenge is this lack of alignment, then the answer is a network specifically designed to create it, and it's called the Dawn Network. Dawn actually stands for the Digital Alignment and Wellbeing Network, and its mission is pretty straightforward: to make sure our digital future serves life. This isn't about stopping technology, not at all. It's about steering it toward 3 core pillars: human dignity, cultural plurality, and, healing our planet.
Now, you might notice the network uses the word alignment very intentionally, instead of just ethics. And why is that? Well, because ethics can get really subjective and theoretical, right? Alignment, on the other hand, is all about action. It's based on shared principles, and it focuses on real, measurable outcomes that are governed by the community. It's about moving from endless debate to actually getting results.
And at the very heart of the Dawn Network is this philosophy called unadulterated pluralism. Now, this goes way beyond just tolerance or diversity. It's a radical commitment to making sure every voice, especially those that have been historically pushed to the margins, has a real say in shaping our future. It means recognizing that we are all interconnected and that our unique traditions must be actively protected.
Okay, so we've covered the philosophy. Now for what I think is the most important part, the how. How do you actually do this in your own community? Well, the answer lies in the Regenerative Toolkit. It's a whole set of practical projects you can literally start today.
A real cornerstone of this toolkit is the #StoryPod initiative. Just think of these as open-source media hubs that connect young people with the wisdom of their elders. They serve this powerful dual purpose. They create this amazing space for intergenerational learning while also capturing authentic community stories. And those stories? They become the rich, unbiased data that we can use to train AI. It's all part of a larger project called Wenelto, which stands for We Need to Listen to Each Other. Simple, right?
And this really gets to the deeper purpose. See, #StoryPods aren't just data collection points. They're designed to be safe, even sacred spaces for telling origin stories, for healing trauma, and for rebuilding those bonds between generations that are so crucial for a healthy society.
And the toolkit is just full of these creative ideas. Project Beehive, for instance, uses AI to learn ethics from nature itself by studying water. How cool is that? There are also models for edutainment farms that blend regeneration with community outreach. And then you have the V²CN, or the Virtual Voice of Community Network, which is like the digital backbone that connects all these local efforts and really amplifies their impact. Now, and this is key, this is not work you do alone. The entire model is built on collaboration. So let's talk about the who. Who do you do this with?
So crucially, how we all work together is just as important as what we do. The network's governance model isn't some corporate hierarchy. No, it's inspired by these time-tested indigenous agreements that are built on shared responsibility and just deep mutual respect.
And to be specific, the network looks to agreements like the 2-row wampum and the dish with 1 spoon. These are historic frameworks for peace and shared stewardship. And this isn't just symbolic. It's put into practice by upholding principles from the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. This ensures that communities have true self-determination and must give their free and informed consent before any action is ever taken.
So who should be a part of this alliance in your community?
Well, the model focuses on 4 key groups. You absolutely need the youth. They're the ones who'll drive action on the ground. You need the elders, especially watershed grandmothers, who hold that deep local knowledge to act as stewards of wisdom. Interfaith groups help ground the work in shared values. And grassroots organizations make sure it all stays connected to real immediate community needs.
Okay, we've covered the why, the what, the how, and the who. We now arrive at the final and maybe most exciting part, your path to activation. How do you go from watching this explainer to actually making a real difference? The process is really a simple 3-step path. First, just join a Dawn network call to connect with the global community. You are not alone in this, believe me. Second, start forming your local alliance. Just reach out to youth, elders, and other local groups. And third, propose an action. It can be something small and tangible, like a youth peace garden to host your very first #storybot.
You know, at the end of the day, the future isn't something that just happens to us. It's a story that we are all writing together, right now, with every single action we take. This guide has pretty much given you the pen. So the only question left is, what first word will you contribute to our shared story? Thanks for tuning in.